Each carving I do has its own story. I nearly abandoned this piece halfway through the carving process.
I've just carved it as I normally would carve, and everything seems to be nice and stable.
I will share why and how that happened, along with the change in my approach, which enabled me to resurrect this piece from abandoned throwaway to a fully realized expression. Welcome to the carving story for Destiny, a small Italian marble polar bear that almost never came to be.
Good morning, everyone, from the carving studio here. So with the big bear finished, now I'm going to start working on this right here. This block of marble is the last offcut I have from the large polar bear. So it's kind of a unique piece because I was able to create 4 pieces from the polar bear out of the offcuts, and this is the last one.
Let's kick things off with a good sign cleaning. I ordered this maybe 8 years ago. It's really stood the test of time, and it's nice to have in the background of my videos. This is a pretty straightforward block of marble, or so I thought. I'm basically going to model this pose off my larger piece, except I'm going to have the back foot up on its heel to accentuate the flow and movement of the forward step of the bear. After some drawing on the stone and setting up the head and neck angles, I began cutting out the nose of the bear. Alright, I jumped ahead a bit here and am now getting into the cuts around the nose, where I'm starting to bring out the primary shapes of the head. Sometimes when I'm carving these pieces, I get into a good flow and at times elect not to turn on the camera. Although my goal is to make my easel and tripod simply another tool I use, like my grinder or hand files, and are just another part of the creative process. However, I will admit that sometimes I do get into such a nice flow with the carving, I decide to just go with it and not switch on my camera. Now for some body work. The head structure is nicely defined, and I love this part where I've spent some time locking in the head, and now I can just turn my attention to the body and really start pulling out the expressions and flow in the body. It's fun in this stage to watch the bear start to emerge from the stone. With the body proportions in place, I move back into the head, and you can really see how I am now going much deeper into the face, setting up the eyes for details and actually already getting quite specific with the nose and mouth. Normally this level of detail doesn't happen until the later stages of the carving, but with this piece I was feeling confident and started these details early. It's the first day of October today, and I'm just in the studio. I'm going to be working on this carving of this polar bear, and since it's the first day of October, I'm sad to say that this will probably be my last iced coffee for this season. Sad to see them go. Looking forward to them nice warm coffees warming me up in the colder temperatures. Look at that light hitting that thing just right. So yeah, I'm going to be working on this polar bear today. I got a ton of work done yesterday on the face actually, and I actually took it a little farther than I usually do. Like, I actually started carving in some of those nose details yesterday. I don't usually go that far or that quickly because sometimes you need to make adjustments as you move the carving along. You can see behind the piece, that's the offcut came from that piece right there. I cut this block of marble off from that piece, so that's kind of what the finished marble looks like. And this is kind of like a similar pose and everything, but like I mentioned in a recent post, like these pieces are always so different. I can do the same pose over and over again, and every piece is so unique, and I love it. It's like having kids, you know? They're so unique, and you can't anticipate what they're going to be like. They have their own little personalities, and it's the same with these pieces. No matter what I do, the personality aspect of it is like, that's out of my hands. That's just the magic of life, right? That personality. where does that even come from, right? It's like the moment in time, the culmination of everything that exists. In this moment, this piece is being born. That is creating the personality, the essence, the being, perhaps. So this is where things take an unexpected turn. With the piece moving along nicely, I began carving down into the legs, and then suddenly, unexpectedly, crack. Well, it doesn't really make a cracking noise, but yeah, the piece broke. Up to this point in my carving career, when a piece broke like this, especially in an area where you couldn't just recarve it without any major repair job, I usually would just let it go and move on to the next project. It's a tough thing sometimes because I do plan on selling these pieces, and so aside from it being an artistic loss, it's also a financial loss. So I moved the piece aside reluctantly and moved on with other work, kind of just accepting that this is part of the job. However, later that winter, I began looking at and reflecting on this aspect of my work and the point of restoration, and perhaps I could restore these pieces instead of just abandoning them.
I haven't been in the studio for a good chunk of the winter, so it's kind of abandoned, I guess you could say. So first thing I want to do is just organize, get everything set and ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be repairing this sculpture right here. I had a great start on it before the foot broke, which was kind of defeating, but I've decided moving forward, I want to become an expert at repairing sculptures and restoring them to their natural original beauty the best I can. There's entire art forms dedicated to restoration, so there's no reason that I can't do it also. I'm no longer going to abandon pieces if they break, which is kind of what I've done. I haven't had a lot break, but so what I'm going to do is I'm going to restore this piece by gluing a foot back on here, pinning it in there, and color matching it the best I can with the glue, and continuing on repairing. Okay, so what I'm looking at with this piece, which I want to restore, is I might carve it out a little bit first and then put the stone on after. And I'm actually just finding a chunk of this marble that I have. It's not actually the piece that broke off. I can already tell that a lot of the weight is actually right here on this back foot. See how I'm spinning that piece? And in fact, almost no weight or very little is on this front leg, actually. That will change as I carve out more stone. But sometimes you end up with the majority of the weight just being focused on a couple of the feet. So hopefully, right now it looks like mostly on there, which is a good thing. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I actually took this piece pretty far. Like, look at that mouth detail and nose detail already finished. Another reason why I've been waiting is because of the temperature. When you're using this 10X glue, I'll show you the glue that I'm using. So this is the glue right here, mastic to fill and glue marbles and stones, and it's a 2-part glue. I was out of this stuff, so I got this as the hardener that you add to it. And I've been using this for years, and I know 10X has different types of glues and epoxies and stuff, but this is the one that I've got and I've been using, and it's worked pretty well. So I'm going to try it for this project too. The temperature is a thing when you're doing gluing, and because this is not a heated studio, I want this to cure properly. I can always move it inside, but I just wanted to wait until the temperature was more around 0 degrees instead of it being really cold or having temperature fluctuations.
All right, let's get this studio organized and cleaned up and ready for carving.
Found a couple pieces here, and now I just want to I'm going to actually sand around the edge of this foot to get a sense of the color, if there's any prominent markings, and to try and match the stone color the best as possible. I think I can probably find a good match because this is the actual stone that I used to carve this piece, so let's see what I got.
I decided the best course of action was to cut 2 flat planes and glue them together. So first I'm just trying to find a nice piece of marble that is similar in color and color striations as the polar bear. I'm just grabbing some snow to dampen the stone. You can see the color a little bit better of what it's going to look like in the end. And I think I found a nice piece. So as you can see here, I'm cutting the foot on the polar bear nice and flat in preparation of pinning the selected block that I'm going to use for the repair. Okay, so I have my chunk of marble here. I'm just fitting it in, making sure those two planes are nice and flat and aligned. And starting to prepare this chunk of marble down to the right size so that once I pin it, I'm not doing any unnecessary cutting. Here I'm just putting in a line to try and get that angle matched correctly. And then just kind of getting a sense of how the foot's going to come down onto this block of marble once it's pinned. So one thing about marble is it can be brittle or break when you're working with these smaller chunks. So one thing I'm really aware of as I drilled out these pinholes is to not force the stone and to really take my time. Let the tool do the work to prevent me cracking the foot further or breaking the stone I'm using for the repair. I did what I was hoping I wouldn't do, which is I broke the piece more while I was drilling these holes. Sometimes the vibration in these stones, especially when you're dealing with small chunks, can crack these stones. This one worked out great. This one, however, you can see a crack right here. It's very minor, but I can see once I get my glue in there, it's going to seal that small crack also. It's going to kind of seal everything. I'm going to do a quick seal with this liquid glue right now, just to support that little crack while I get everything else prepared to do the main glue. So I'm satisfied with everything. I feel like the glue is going to work perfectly, even with that small crack. So now I'm just cutting out my pins and I'm going to start the gluing process. Now, one thing I wanted to do was color match the glue a little bit. I started by grinding in some marble dust to gray out the colors slightly. I do typically use some of this white coloring to trend the glue color towards the white to match the marble, but ultimately I knew that in the end I was going to use acrylic paint to do the final color match once everything had been glued and cured and carved and finished. Okay, so now I added the hardener and I'm just putting in the pins and pushing these two pieces together and making sure there's no gaps. We'll see how that works. I don't know. It's either going to hold or it isn't going to hold. And, you know, from a certain perspective, if I can carve that out and it's fine, then I know that the bond is good enough and strong enough. I'm going to move this inside in about 20 minutes once this glue starts to harden a little bit, just so that it's in a room temperature environment overnight. Hey everyone, just on my way to the carving studio. I glued the foot on the polar bear, so today I get to start carving on the foot to see if it holds. It's been 24 hours, so it should be fully cured. And I was reading that that type of glue actually bonds stronger. It has a stronger breaking point than marble even, so hopefully it holds, but today will be the test. I think I mixed in a little bit too much hardener, and they say when you mix too much hardener in, it actually doesn't make it stronger, it makes it weaker, so we'll see how it worked out. But anyways, I'm just walking over now. So here I am back in the studio getting to test the bond of the glue and if this is gonna actually work or not. All right, first impressions, seems to be holding very well. Like if it stays like this, it's perfect, it's gonna work great. I don't experience any vibration in the stone there. It seems very solid, almost like I'm carving
or as if I'm just carving a solid stone.
So I am very pleased with the first impressions of this carving, and so I'm just continuing with the carving process as per usual. And that bond, that hold, continued to hold really strongly. So that basically gives me the green light for the carving. I'm just going to continue moving forward, which is really cool because now I get to finish this piece.
So this is the foot that I'm repairing right here. And yeah, it's working very well. I'm actually pretty surprised at how well it's working. Not really noticing too much vibration in that foot or anything. I've just carved it as I normally would carve, and everything seems to be nice and stable. I can't go down too far with the foot because I got pins in there. But you can see there's a little dark line along the seam, but the idea is I'm gonna paint that. I'm gonna color match with acrylic paints, and I'm going to match that and see how that works. So get to use a little bit of my painting background for restoring this piece. You know, as I read, the glue has actually a stronger breaking point than marble itself, so it should actually be just as strong as the marble, maybe stronger actually. So that's pretty cool. And it looks fantastic, and I get to finish this awesome piece that I was really psyched about. I remember when I started, and when it broke, I was a little disappointed because I'd put quite a bit of work into it, and I was really happy with how it was going. And it continues to go very well. It's got a really cool shape, cool form. Got the foot up here.
Now it's time to start carving in the eyes and placing in the final details. It's been such a long journey to get to this point, but super glad to finally be here, seeing this piece come together. It's funny, when I first draw in the eyes, these bears always look angry, and that just has to do with the angles of the eyebrow forms. However, I do know that as I carve, these edges soften and I can bring out that true expression of the bear. The details are looking awesome. What a journey this piece was. It's often a nice relief when I start the sanding process. With everything carved, now I get to bring out the color in the stone and witness the full beauty of the fully carved sculpture. Got my polar bear here, as you can see. Got it right here just in my office studio, and I am going to paint that right there. So you can see the foot there. You can actually see the top of the pin. At first view, when you look at this thing, without doing anything, it actually looks very good, and you'd almost not even notice. So I'm just gonna do a few refinements, and hopefully. But I got my acrylics here. I decided to go with acrylics because I actually thought that the oil from the oil-based paints would oxidize the stone or soak into the stone. So the oils would actually go into the stone because stone can be quite porous. So acrylics is water-based, and that won't happen as far as I know. And even though with oils, I feel like it's easier to color match because it doesn't change colors when it dries. I think acrylic is going to be my best bet. So I have some good quality acrylic paints here that I'm going to be using. Just judging by the color of this stone, it's basically just going to be white. And yeah, I'm just going to use the 3 primaries probably. White and then blue, yellow, and red. It looks like almost slightly green off-white, very subtle yellow greenish, not trending towards the blue side, towards the yellow greenish side. So that's going to be my plan. Thank you everyone for taking a moment to watch this video and the creative process for Destiny, the original marble sculpture that was bound to be and determined to exist. If you're interested in collecting my work, you can always reach out to me on any of my social media platforms or visit my website to see all the available pieces. And of course, you can always support my journey as an artist by liking and following my channels, and even just by watching the videos. And hopefully I've added some value to your day. Enjoy.